There we go. Good morning, everyone. This is Midnight Brands coming to you with prep for May 16th, 2023. Beautiful morning, and we're just going to dive right into it. Got a little bit of econ stuff coming up here today, mostly a lot of Fed speak, which is always fun. So, got some stuff starting right at 7:15 Central, 8:15 Eastern, followed by retail sales and a whole bunch of other stuff with industrial production, Red Book. Really, like I said, there's lots of Fed speak here today. Always should be an interesting one. So, moving right into it, we'll jump into SVXY as usual. Pretty clean levels. Not a whole lot to say on it. We did add or adjust this bottom one though to include the weekly trend guide, 20-day EMA. Weekly photo, tier 2, daily cheat pieces there. So it was a div, and it had actually, it should be right pointing, that arrow should be pointing right there. So we added this zone in any event. It don't know we'll get it right now. Let's see where SVXY is even trading. I don't have it up at the moment. So pretty clean though in terms of levels and whatnot, so not a whole lot to say on that one there. Give me 1 second, let me see if I can't find my other little. There we go. So SVXY 7012. So pretty unchanged from yesterday's close, kind of right there at that spot. So not a whole lot to say on that. So we'll move right along to VIX. Did add a couple of pieces in here and notations, and got the possible, not saying it's likely, but the possible ABCD, much higher time frame ABC pattern back noted on the chart. Again, I read all the workspace stuff over the weekend, so probably still have a few things here and there that I've got to add back into the charts and whatnot. In any event, things that got added, so you can see we added the 50-day EMA monthly trend guide. That 50-day has proven pretty good resistance for this stuff here over late. Yeah, the other one is the 20-day EMA and trend strength reference point. So do we keep following kind of that trend down and deal with it that way, or something else go on? At the moment, VIX is up a little bit. It's right at about that trend strength reference point, 20-day EMA zone at that 1748 spot. I think that's really it. There's not a whole lot else to say here. It's all pretty clean and simple levels for VIX for today. Moving up next is the SPY. So possible ABCD, and as you know, like, why didn't you draw it here? Okay, well, this came back and retraced the whole thing. So this is double bottom. In fact, this low here is a little bit lower even than this one. So that's why I drew the ABCD kind of this way. It does set up and potentially drives right into that bigger spot there with the weekly, monthly trend guide stuff. It's also weekly full ADR. It's horizontal ray, which has got some structure up there historically at almost the 420 spot. So pretty big zone up there if we decide to go attack. And right now, SPY is trading down a little bit for 12.35. So, in any event, I don't think there's a whole lot else to add on this one, other than we did adjust down and made this trend strength reference point zone bigger in order to capture the combo point of control and the weekly pivot. And you can see there's also a swing anchored VWAP there, so it does make it a little bit wider. But you can see, like, I mean, look at that reaction yesterday off that combo point of control and weekly pivot. I mean, that was a pretty big reaction off that candle there, or that candle was a pretty big reaction off to that spot. So, and just in general, you can see through there, it's been a pretty good reactionary zone. So, yep, we'll leave that one. Move along to the Qs. So, pretty straightforward on Qs as well. I don't think we added anything here from the looks of it. The ABCD for it takes it to be just shy of this div up here. with gap fill and the tier 1 daily cheat. Just spot checking to see. So it did do a couple things. So we grouped this trend guide, combo point of control, as well as the weekly pivot and supply and demand. We grouped that into one zone, as opposed to treating them as two separate, really small zones. You treat them separate, but it makes sense to us just to treat them as one. And the other part is down here. Change this from a div to actually being a full zone, so we can include the weekly trend guide on that particular one. Would expect that we'll see this come up here, if not today, maybe tomorrow or Thursday, to see the swing and daily anchor VWAPs 20-day EMA come up and join that weekly trend guide at the 322-ish spot. 50-day is traveling pretty good too with its daily anchor VWAP. It's kind of right now hugging the bottom edge of this channel here. So I don't think there's anything else really on the Qs. Going to jump into ES here. And I'm going to get up and grab the coffee that just finished brewing here in 20 seconds. On ES, couple things in here. So again, possible ABCD, but there's also the potential that this could fail down, and so ABCD from the weekly IB stat high here to the low there, and then this has just been building up momentum in order to potentially fail down. So there is that possible ABCD on the downside as well. And right now we are flirting 41, 44, 25. So we're flirting kind of just above that trend strength reference point zone here. And so let's see what do we got in here. Pretty basic there. No changes on this one here, really. That's just a div with gap fill, tier 3 daily cheat, horizontal ray. We'll mention this one we combined into one zone. It was separated out as two with monthly trend guide reversal, weekly trend guide reversal in the weekly fulls, and we just combined that as two into one zone there. Pretty clean there. So weekly trend guide reversal 2, April highs, tier 1 into week cheat, supply and demand high. Underneath you have your full ADRs. Definitely been some obstructions, 4190-ish, 4185-ish kind of area. We also have the gap fill here from back on early May, and the weekly photo ADRs right there. Under and down here we get photo ADRs have moved down a little bit, and so here we see trend guide reversal, weekly trend guide reversal, the combo high volume node is supply and demand high. We'll note on this one here the monthly pivot has been a challenge area for it of recent, and it's also obviously a supply and demand low side. But as you can see on the daily chart over here, there's that falling trend line on the daily, and today it lines up right at 41.54. Call it 41.55. So it's just a touch above. So maybe we see a poke above here a little bit into that trend line, come back, test 20-day again, and then go up and grab trend guide reversal. No idea. It is pretty interesting to me to see, like, even with all this back and forth, like, we still have managed to keep R1 being TGR for the last 4 days. So it should be an interesting play to see how that one all pans out. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Change this, so photo ADRs have moved up. So really just kind of ignored that div area there. It really just kind of ended up combining the combo high volume node and kind of this block here. So it did drag it down a little bit in order to grab the 50-day EMA. You can also see it's also grabbing last week's IV stat low, which is grabbing a bunch of this stuff. And then it's also zone down a little bit in order to grab the weekly IV stat low from the first week of May as well. Is anything else of big significance in here? I mean, it picked up this one similar to like how it picked up this big zone at 42.20. It picked up this big one down here at 46.60. I have no idea. I mean, there is some econ stuff today, but is it enough to generate 80 points? I have no idea. And you can see here, right, like 49, 40, I think yesterday, it's hard to see there exactly, it was like 20 some points. So really, really getting compressed on the range here. Something's going to give pretty soon. I mean, you can even see this, right? It's just 4,200, 4080. I mean, it's just 100-point range really for the last month and a half, give or take now. In any event, the NQ, we'll move on to that. So I ignored this weekly trend guide Versa 3. It's up there. It's a zone potentially. Highly doubtful that'd be 300 points, and we couldn't even break 100. And we got to 130 points yesterday. So, yeah. So in any event, you've got your first one up there, pretty clean. Second one, we added kind of this block here. So photo ADRs, top edge is supply and demand. Combo high value area, it's kind of meh, to be really fair. It is there. It is a top edge of supply and demand, and we recently redid all of our supply and demands here. So kind of go back and forth on it. Would want to see how we're doing with price action and stuff to see this one. I mean, it is photo ADR, so you know, potentially just stop right there, and you know, go hit that 130 points and reverse off of it with supply and demand. Because I mean, look, the photo ADR is right at that top edge of supply and demand, so that is pretty interesting on that one. Anywho, moving down below, so you get a nice kind of good zone there. Daily and monthly trend guide reversals along with weekly trend guide reversal. Some historical structure at the 13,524, and it's the lower edge of supply and demand. You can see here there's been structure even into last week and into the overnight session there too. Just actually tick for ticked it. So in any event, lower trend strength combo. There's also swinging VWAP that we've manually added in there. So that's right at that block. Under pretty clean level with trend guide reversal. Photo ADRs have moved up, so they're no longer at that bottom part. So it's right here, TGR WPP combo tier 1 daily cheat. It's right at that block. And then full ADRs is that one below, so supply and demand low. Tier 2 daily cheat, swing anchor VWAP, full ADRs. And then the other piece underneath that will be our weekly trend guide, combo point of control. Full ADRs are not there obviously anymore. They've moved up into that block above. It does now, however, include the 20-day EMA. You could drag this down to include that and just kind of adjust the whole piece down, but I mean, there's definitely been a good amount of structure and kind of reaction stuff here. Even right here, like we shot right through, came back, kind of tested, and then just kept moving. So do we come back, retest, and keep moving? I have no idea, but that's why I drew that up there at that spot. And the last one for NQ here is just combo high volume node. Last week's low, supply and demand low. Really probably won't be too interested if we do come down here at this one. Probably be watching more for this block down here with monthly pivot, weekly trend guide 2, weekly photos, etc. So moving on to RTY YM. So RTY did adjust this upper zone to combine a few things. So really just combine zone 1 and zone 2 there. It does make it a little bit wider. But it's only 7 points in the end, so it's not a terribly wide zone by any means. And then also, I'm going to zoom in here, added this kind of small div-ish zone view. So between this daily trend guide reversal, monthly pivot, supply and demand, you have a 50-day. It doesn't really fit with either one of these two. So you watch, it may end up coming in and joining this zone here later today, but if it doesn't, it could be one where you div into collect 50 day and then reverse back and not even come up and grab that upper zone there. Excuse me. I'm grabbing that coffee real quick, folks. Give me 30 seconds. Alright, that should be better coffee now. The other parts that I wanted to mention and call out here on RTY is we added this structural and weekly trend guide spot here. So you can see, just looking at the wicks and kind of the bodies, I mean, this area here with weekly trend guide has definitely been an area where we've kind of held back and not wanted to really push above. We had a push here. I think this was probably FOMC, CPI, I can't remember. I was way too busy with other crap the last couple weeks. But you got a big push above, and then we can't clear it. And so, to me, this is a spot for us to keep an eye on before we even come up to that zone there. So the weekly trend guide structural pieces there. The other piece that I noted that I would kind of treat here is just kind of treat this whole block here as one zone. Obviously include the full ADR unless it continues to move up, in which case it might join this div. But really just treat these bottom two blocks as one zone. So you get your full ADRs, monthly, weekly trend guide reversals, and tier 3 daily cheat, combo high volume node, weekly photo. So treat all this as just one big zone. Moving on, we'll hit up YM before we get to GC and CL in that order today. On this one, a couple things we added and noted. So weekly trend guide reversal, full ADRs as a possible div. Also added this structure weekly pivot, and you can see here kind of the IB highs and lows going back and looking left on here. Certainly even some stuff back here in April. So in YM, where's YM? YM is 33,321, so also kind of pretty unchanged. Still just floating right in and around that trend strength reference point zone there. Not a whole lot to really kind of get into on this one. I mean, you could definitely say, hey, let's put a zone, a div type of thing right here. I stopped. I mean, the only reason why I marked these ones is because it was picked up automatically, and this was to include the full ADRs. Spent so much time marking up crap candidly on these charts here the last 2 weeks, and we don't come anywhere close to them. So if we do start to pick up steam and move to the upside today, then yeah, keep an eye out on this monthly pivot. One, because there's definitely been some structural reactions off of it, and it's a combo high volume node. But yeah, I didn't mark it just because it's like, what's the point? We haven't traded to the upside zones at all here in the recent weeks, so I didn't add it as an extra one. GC has had some pretty violent moves on the other hand, and so did continue to mark this because I mean, that is a pretty big spot here on GC. Looks like light shot cut off my P on daily anchored VWAP right there. But really, that's a key piece to keep an eye on. Like I keep harping on this. Like it's a really big spot there. Today it's a combo high volume node. So 50-day daily anchor VWAP continue to move up. I mean, shit, we might see it up at the 2000 level here, joining weekly trend guide pretty soon. How we might even see the 20 and 50 come right on top of each other. So it's kind of resetting to a degree just by, slowly just grinding out here. If I can zoom back out, like that big push up, and then this kind of, the last several days just kind of been sitting in here, trading up, trading down, like just flattish. I did see this where the 20 and 50 actually come up and meet each other, and that's helping this 50-day to ultimately reset. So in any event, just looking at those, I mean, so we added the trend strength reference point, 20-day EMA on that. It's there. The other one is we adjusted up this trend guide reversal zone to ignore the combo high volume node and adjusted this MPP photo one there just a little bit based upon the overnight action. So not a whole lot else on it. The one part I will note that is not on here is keep an eye out for between these two. So maybe today we get everybody excited. We do come down and test that 2000 level weekly trend guide, tier 2 daily cheats. We just stop right here actually at the full ADRs and bounce off of that because it's full ADR gap fill. And so if we keep kind of pushing down and don't go up at all, then that gap fill full ADR will stay right there confluent with each other. And at the moment, GC is trading at 2010, so it's continued to push down a little bit there, getting closer back to that MPP photo ADR block. So pretty clean otherwise. Move on to CL. And CL at the moment is trading 7106, so it's trying to push up a little bit here against this trend strength reference point, swing anchored VWAP zone there. That was one that we added. It was not included as part of the output. And you can see overnight there it had kind of a nice reaction off that trend strength reference point zone, which is really kind of being contained by the tier 1 OPEX cheat there. This is actually trading below that. And I think today or tomorrow is actually the expiry for that. Yeah, tomorrow is, and then it's getting pretty close to contract roll as well, for that matter. Yeah, because Friday switches to the other contract. In any event, you've got that underneath there. You've got a kind of nice one with trend guide, tier 1 daily cheats, gap fill, combo high volume node, and then just really two zones below, ignoring the div because the full ADRs have moved around. So in fact, it's moved up into this weekly trend guide reversal zone here. So yeah, you don't really have this this div anymore. It's kind of gotten rolled into this zone here with monthly trend guide reversal 2, gap fill, and it's now weekly photo ADRs because the fulls again have moved up and photos have also moved up. So I think that's really it. On the upside, the other part that you might pay attention to is if we do decide to get moving and if crude does start pushing, then watch this 20-day and see it may ultimately come into this weekly trend guide zone with gap fill there, and that 72.92 spot could be an interesting one with how things have traded off of it. You can see we don't really track the weekly or the IB stuff in here. In fact, I think that I probably have that wrong. It's probably set to U.S. equities as opposed to NYMEX real-time hours. But anyway, I think that is it for all the prep, and I don't see any questions. So hopefully everybody has a good one, and as always, hopefully that this continues to be helpful. If you get some value out of it, give us a note, let us know, and we will catch y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye now.